As med spa owner, you're probably seeing all sorts of marketing and advertising materials from agencies and marketing providers touting patient guarantees, something like 30 patients your first month or you don't pay. Here's why that's probably not a good idea for your business. So the first thing to understand is as marketing providers, we can reverse engineer this number pretty easily, this cost of customer acquisition number to reverse engineer into a patient guarantee. So if we know, for example, that when we run a specific type of offer or promo, that our customer acquisition cost is $100, then we know for every $1,000 you spend on average, you're going to see 10 patients. So you can basically say something along the lines of let's add a buffer in there. For every $4,000 a month you spend in ads, you're going to get 30 new patients through the door. And you can reverse engineer that patient guarantee because these things are pretty consistent if you've got a system that's repeatable, which most agencies, including ours, do. So first thing to know is it's just really a function of your ad spend, the patient guarantee. You could almost make that number whatever you wanted it to be once you know your acquisition cost. You could guarantee yourself 50 patients a month if you know your acquisition cost from a specific effort. So that's the first thing to understand. But the first problem that I wanted to discuss with patient guarantees is the idea of misaligned incentives. I talked to someone last year who was running a small facial spa in Georgia, and she was working with an agency. They'd given her this patient guarantee of 30 new patients a month. And one of the first things I asked her was, well, are they actually doing what they said they were going to do? And her answer was, yeah, every month I get 30 new patients through the door like clockwork, guaranteed. Never an issue. Like I get those 30 patients every month. And so my next question was, great. So why are we having a conversation? You paid them to perform a service. They checked the box. They did exactly what they told you they were going to do. And she said, well, the problem is patient quality kind of stinks. These people are coming in for my promo. They're not rebooking. They're not from the part of town that I actually want to attract clients from. They're really far away. They're extra, they're really, really, really big discount shoppers as kind of a general rule on that extreme of the spectrum. And so that is a major issue. You have a misaligned incentive structure when you use patient guarantees because it assumes that the entire story here is butts in the seats. And as a med spa, that is absolutely not the case. For example, when we run ads for facials for our clients, which that's a whole other conversation, but just as a med spa, when you run ads for facials, if you've got a really good deal or a really good offer, you're going to have low customer acquisition costs. And that means you're going to have a lot of butts in the seats and a lot of patients through the door. The same thing would be true if you offered a crazy good deal on Botox, for example, right? You can pretty much guarantee you're going to get butts in the seats if you offer a good deal and you spend ad dollars to reach your target market with that good deal. The problem is it doesn't take into the full picture, doesn't take into account the full picture of ROI and patient quality. If I'm spending $100 to get a client through the door who only buys a $100 service and I never see them again, I'm losing money on that, right? I've got cost of goods and I paid $100 to acquire the customer. I only collected $100 in revenue. Like I'm negative. I'm in the hole. So that does not make sense to do that. We want to make sure that our strategies are comprehensive and that we've got a pulse on patient quality and retention to make sure that we're optimizing our ad spend to put us in the best position possible for growth as we look to the months and years ahead for your med spa. This episode is brought to you by Med Spa Magic Marketing, my agency. We help med spas and aesthetics practices grow with more effective marketing strategies. And I know that's a vague phrase, right? It's a vague claim. So I have an offer for you. I offer this to any new prospects. If you're interested in exploring another marketing option, a new agency, or just getting into Facebook, Instagram, Google Ads for the first time, I'd love to show you why we're different, what we're doing for clients. And we can do that via a 1.5 hour planning session where I'll outline a specific marketing plan and I'll give you all of the blueprints that we would implement if we were to do business together. Now you can take that, use that on your own, hire someone else to help you execute it, or work with us. We really don't hold anything back on that strategy call. And I think you'll have a lot of confidence in how you manage your marketing investment moving forward, understanding some of the nuances that can help you implement more effective marketing strategies for your business. So if you want to do that, you can go to medspamagicmarketing.com. Great example of this is we had a client in Boston who's running 2 different types of promos. For injectables and facials. There are 2 different kind of versions of the same offer type. And on one of them, they had a higher customer acquisition cost, which meant less butts in the seats relative to the same ad spend number. So if we're simply optimizing that campaign based on butts in the seats, I'm going to go with, offer A that we were running. The problem is when we looked at the big picture, the people that came in from offer B that had a higher acquisition cost, they were also retained at a way higher rate and spent more money on their initial visit. And if you break that math down using something like our ROI calculator, by all accounts, we're going to be in a much better position financially, paying a little bit more to acquire the customer who's sticky, is retained, and spends more money with us. So there's a breaking point to all of that math. But the bottom line is you want an agency who's really acting as an independent consultant for you, trying to guide strategy into the efforts, initiatives, and offers that are going to put you in the best position for growth and return on investment. It's not as simple as just looking at butts in the seats as a med spa. It's a business that relies on retention. There are strategies that you can implement all day that'll get a butt in the seat, but don't lead to satisfactory retention. So you want a comprehensive view. So that's really the main issue here is number one, misaligned incentive structure when you use patient guarantees. The second thing is scalability. So agencies will either do one of two things. They're either arbitraging, which is totally fair. I don't want to act like this model is horrible. I think this is better than most marketing agencies were doing 5 years ago. At least having the ability to guarantee butts in the seats is more than some agencies can do. And I think there's no harm in that. And I understand why agencies do it because it resonates. That marketing message tends to resonate with you as practice owners, right? It eliminates risk or perceived risk. But here's the issue with scalability. If they're running a patient guarantee, they're basically probably controlling the ad spend number, and they're going to turn those ads off once they reach that patient guarantee. So you're paying them a big chunk of money. It includes maybe ad spend and retainer and fees. And their job is to make that as efficient as possible and then to shut that off when they reach the patient guarantee or to set the pacing so that you get that patient guarantee, but not much more if you're not paying more. So because they're arbitraging that, it's not as scalable. They're going to charge you more money and they're going to continue to arbitrage it if they bring in additional patients. So if you wanted to renegotiate your contract to, let's say, 50 patients from 30, then they're building in extra margin on top of that for the arbitrage of patient acquisition. With an agency that is acting as an independent consultant, it's generally going to be more scalable as you grow because the more money you put in the system, your agency is going to have a flat retainer for services, kind of acting as an independent consultant for you. And then we don't charge as a percentage of ad spend, for example. So when you start to scale your ad spend up, you're not paying any more in terms of agency retainer. You're just paying the acquisition cost related to ad spend. So it actually tends to scale better long term, especially for bigger, more established practices. The math is generally going to work out more in your favor if you can find a system that works and then be able to go pedal to the metal with your ad spend as aggressively as possible without an agency adding that arbitrage element. So those are really the two reasons that I think that patient guarantees are not a good idea. Like I've thought about offering these in our agency because I know how attractive that marketing message can be, but it doesn't take into consideration the full picture of effectiveness of your advertising and marketing efforts.